This one kind of makes me sad. I'm a big fan of marriage. My wife, this is the second marriage for both of us, and I feel like I won the wife lottery. She's amazing. Been married for over 10 years, couldn't be happier. Got it right the second time around. And but then I take a look at this story, and well, the odds are that we are far more likely to get divorced if we have close friends who get divorced. Now, I wouldn't worry about that in my specific situation this time around. But as I think back to the first time around, maybe. Because if there already is that tendency, perhaps a friend moving in that direction would convince you to do the same. Joining us to talk about this, Lene Ali DeRutter, family law attorney, and you may follow her at Lene A. D. Rutter on Twitter. Lene, when we take a look at this study, it reminds me of something from years ago. I remember a study that said that the average one of us will earn the average of what our three closest friends earn. And it kind of made sense. In other words, we tend to associate those that are closest to where we are in life. And this kind of gets, hits in a similar direction. If we maybe are not the happiest in our marriage, it might be that we also are associating with people that are in that similar state. I'm not sure if you're unhappy in your marriage, if you're necessarily going to want to be around the people that always are just the happiest and, it's just, they're thrilled with each other. So interested to get your perspective on this study showing how much more likely we are to get divorced if we have a close friend who does.
It's funny because you saying that makes me think of, what my mom said to me all the time, you are the company you keep, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you tend to adopt some of the traits, and I think you also tend to empathize. I think the study on divorce is very interesting because I think we can all find problems, and if with our situations, and if we're surrounded by people that are in the midst of that, and that's where their focus is at, and that's what they're talking about, and that's the conversation you're having with them, I think it's easy. It's just human to start thinking the same way.
And my next concern is I'm kind of thinking through on this one. How common might it be for somebody in that situation to be talking with their friend who is also in perhaps an unhappy place in their marriage rather than talking to their partner to potentially be able to work through some of these issues?
Well, I think that's more common. I think at some point when people, at least from my perspective as a divorce lawyer, there becomes a point that talking with your spouse doesn't work, and it's painful and it's unpleasant, and you're caught in a loop, and so you're not making progress, and so you need an outlet, and so you turn to a friend, and that's who you're relying on. That's who you're getting encouragement. That's who you're getting comfort from, in the sense of reinforcement, right? Because you're just in such a bad state. I mean, the problem, or one of the many problems, but divorce is that it's so human, it's so raw, it's so emotional, and it's life, and our human characteristics, you can't separate them out from the situation and be pragmatic. Even the most pragmatic people are still they're still operating from some place of emotion within the core of their being during the divorce process.
I'm thinking about the holidays, and it's that much more challenging when you're dealing with something like perhaps an unhappy marriage. In terms of the holidays and the impact, in your experience, do you see an increase in filings this time of year, or is there a decrease?
No, usually people put it on pause for the holidays. They want to get through the holidays. They want to focus on what's good about the holidays. They want to kind of savor that. And sometimes, my experience has been is that they know they need to get divorced. It's very difficult to get divorced. And so they kind of want to cherish the end of it over the holiday period and then start the new year fresh, kind of start a new chapter.
So, if someone is on the fence about their marriage, if they're struggling, they have a friend who is in a similar place, what's your guidance to them, especially this time of year, that might be constructive for both of them?
I had a client in my office the other day, and there was some conversation that was happening between an outside person and my client. And my advice is, you need to focus on what you think is best for your children. You need to focus on what's going to help you move through this chapter of your life. And I think you need to focus on, where you want to be, what your goals are, and not get, consumed or kind of brought in during this difficult time by other people's opinions. And I think that's just important in divorce, because you want comfort, you want to feel like someone can relate to what you're going through. But I think that everybody has such a different experience and has such different relationships that you really have to step back and say, okay, what am I trying to accomplish here? What do I want this to look like at the end? Do I want my marriage? Do I not want my marriage? What do I want? And then commit to that and commit to what you think the best steps are. And particularly where there's children involved, I think that the one thing I always go to is, if you always focus on your children, no matter what, if you're in divorce, getting ready to divorce, thinking about divorce, if you always focus on your children and you focus on doing what's best for them, that's going to help you in your decision-making process.
It's a good thought. We'll leave it there. Appreciate it. Lene Alley DeRutter, again, at Lene A. DeRutter on Twitter.